In January 2021, at the height of AumSum's popularity, the channel released a playful video titled "What if AumSum Disappeared?" It imagined a world without AumSum, a tongue-in-cheek scenario where children would forget how to laugh, education would crumble, and even YouTube itself might lose millions of viewers without AumSum's daily presence. Fast forward to today, and the promise feels sadly true. AumSum hasn't vanished from YouTube, but many believe the channel's soul has disappeared in spirit. As this user says, "AumSum was my childhood. Now it's AI. How on earth did we go from videos as good as this?"
What if oceans were transparent? No problemo. I will color them using my AumSum blue paint. Oh, AumSum. Firstly, submarines would lose one of their biggest advantages. Anybody will be able to spot them.
To videos as soulless as this.
AumSum jumps onto the dock, his quake pushing the boat toward the shore. The family steps out, happy and safe.
Imagine if a channel you loved, you learned from, you grew up with. Imagine if it suddenly changed itself into AI-generated slop. This is the story of the tragic downfall of the educational channel AumSum. I'm Snap, he's my cat Lucky. Let's dive in. Part 1. What's happened to AumSum? Over the past couple of years, AumSum has gone through a troubling transformation. The beloved human voice actors, both the narrator and AumSum's character voice, left in 2024 and were replaced by lifeless AI-generated voices. The charming, fact-filled science lessons that once defined AumSum's peak were replaced by bizarre, algorithm-chasing topics. Nonsense videos like, "What if our shadows could walk away?" Longtime fans watched in despair as the once creative art style and careful explanations gave way to cheap CGI thumbnails and robotic scripts. Quick reminder to hit subscribe if you're enjoying the video so far. Thank you. You know things are bad when the only thing being educated is the algorithm. AumSum got infected by the AI plague, lamented one Reddit commenter, perfectly summing up the sense of betrayal. Indeed, this big shift, it didn't just change videos, it drove a wedge between the channel and its audience. AumSum's YouTube comments, which once buzzed with kids' questions and wild guesses, have been silent for years. There was a brief moment in early 2024 when comments and community posts were re-enabled, but they were quickly shut down again. With comments turned off and the community tab abandoned, fans lost their last direct line to AumSum's creators. The channel stopped listening. In the eyes of its audience, AumSum as they knew it had quietly slipped away. A disappearance, not of the channel itself, but of its heart. Yep, because nothing says community engagement like locking the doors and pretending nobody's outside. Part 2. How AumSum became AIMSum. This new wave of AI-made videos has raised alarms because so much of it is either nonsensical, misleading, or just completely lacking in real educational value. Recent AumSum uploads ask absurd questions and then give even stranger explanations that often defy both science and logic. For example, one video asks, "What if our teeth sparkled like flashlights?" and actually shows the cartoon character beaming light from his mouth. You want the answer to that one? Go watch British reality TV for 5 frickin' minutes. You'll find out the answer in no time. Their teeth are frickin' ridiculous. Sorry, tangent. Another AumSum video wonders, what if our ears could spin like helicopter blades, complete with the character's ears whirring like propellers? Dude, if a person really had helicopter blades on their head, you'd get sliced up in seconds. It's a question that never needed to be asked, let alone answered. Other new AumSum videos have been just as far-fetched. The ideas seem to get more random by the day.
Children in the park point and cheer as he floats like a colorful kite. One child tries to jump high enough to grab his foot.
Yes, every millisecond of this video is AI generated. It's pure, unadulterated, unapologetic AI slop. And the really sad thing is, AumSum never used to be like this, but we'll get onto peak AumSum later on. In truth, before going full clanker, AumSum had been laying the groundwork for this switch to AI for quite a while. They'd already been using AI-generated thumbnails, and even before that, about a year ago, they rolled out a whole series of what if so-and-so had artificial intelligence videos? What if light bulbs had AI? What if cats had AI? What if pizza had AI? And so on. These videos often drift straight into fantasy. Dude, cats don't need AI. Y'all tried to put AI in Lucky, and I'm going to be leading the anti-clanker revolution. Anyway, these videos are particularly terrible because they're not even scientifically accurate. Yep, AumSum is feeding scientific misinformation to millions of kids every single day. Oh my god, I just love living in 2025. Don't you? In one example, what if light bulbs had artificial intelligence, the narration claims that during a power outage, smart light bulbs might somehow use moonlight to shine.
Firstly, if light bulbs had artificial intelligence, whenever there is no electricity, they might light up using moon's light.
This idea has no basis in either physics or reality. Moments like this show how the AI-generated scripts can easily become misinformative. They present children with magical sounding explanations that are completely wrong or just plain illogical, blurring the line between science and make-believe. Honestly though, this type of event is particularly sad for Gen Alpha. To them, AumSum was practically a household name in fun learning. Part 3. The Rise of AumSum. It's not actually easy to find the exact history of the channel AumSum, and I believe they've made that deliberately difficult. However, this video by the YouTuber It's Toppy came out about 2 years ago, and it shares some really interesting, otherwise unknown details about the channel AumSum. It's Toppy explains that AumSum, originally called Smart Learning for All, began back in November 2014 as an educational YouTube channel focused on teaching science and biology. Initially, it featured a character named Mr. Smart, but in February 2017, he was replaced by a simple stickman figure who would later evolve into the AumSum character we know today. In May 2017, the first video featuring this early AumSum design, How Does a Plastic Comb Attract Paper, was uploaded, and by May 16th, 2018, the character was officially named AumSum. The content was designed for children and young students, short, animated videos that answer why questions about science in a fun and imaginative way. The videos featured a goofy animated character named AumSum and a narrator who explained concepts in simple terms, with humour and catchy, repetitive phrases. One Redditor described AumSum's early format as basically Watch Mojo format science for kids, noting that, while it wasn't the worst thing for Gen Alpha, it did have some overused soundbites. In hindsight, my word, didn't we take that era's quality for granted? Overall, AumSum's early content struck a perfect balance. It was both educational and genuinely entertaining. It earned the trust of parents and became one of YouTube's best edutainment channels. Part 4. The Glory Days of AumSum. A hallmark of AumSum's golden age was its creative yet factual approach. The videos answered real science questions like, why do we get nightmares? Or what if the sun disappeared? Using actual science, engaging visuals, and AumSum's trademark silly antics. The production had a distinct charm that fans found irresistible. You almost forgot you were learning, which, ironically, is the best kind of learning. As this user says, the goofy, simple body with stick figure arms and legs was so good. All of this gave AumSum a unique soul and identity among kids' educational channels, allowing it to thrive throughout the late 2010s. From 2019 to 2021, AumSum was at its creative peak. The channel's catchy tagline,
It's AumSum time!
And playful explanations made learning enjoyable, turning AumSum into a beloved brand. Videos like What If Oceans Were Transparent grabbed attention, sparked curiosity, and helped a generation of kids genuinely enjoy learning. Unfortunately, a few creative missteps would soon put that hard-earned reputation at risk. Part 5. The Fall of AumSum. The next part of the AumSum story is best summed up by one particularly dedicated fan who decided to rate every era of the channel's history. Yep, you know things have gone downhill when your own fanbase starts running historical analyses. I'm rating every era of AumSum. The very beginning, 3 out of 10. It's had educational content, but compared to modern eras, this isn't AumSum. 2015 to 2017, 5 out of 10. AumSum never spoke, but at least there was Learning Pal to help us. 2017 to 2019, 7 out of 10. AumSum started making jokes and answering people's questions and explained in such a way we could classify it as great. 2019 to 2021, 9 out of 10. Had content, had jokes, had soul. It was the greatest era. That's why the most popular videos are from this era. 2021 to 2022. 7 out of 10. The channel was mostly focused on what-if questions. It was most appropriate to children, but still had soul compared to what is next. 2022 to 2024. 5 out of 10. Now, there were channels for many topics, and sometimes channels got rebranded and all. There was a channel focusing on kindergarten to first grade lessons, now discontinued, and there was an AumSum science channel, also discontinued. A what-if channel, discontinued. 2024 to early 2025. 3 out of 10. This is when they started losing their way. When I revisited their channel around this time, I was in shock. AumSum now was just a punchline, a secondary actor. As AI got easier to use, their videos got worse and worse. They lost innovation because it would be easier for that studio. It's not a channel anymore, it's just bots. Now, 1 out of 10. It's lost everything it had. Now thumbnails are AI, videos complete AI shit. They don't even give you the answer to your question anymore. Now it's all storytelling. AumSum has died to AI. The studio thinks that they can get away with using AI, but one day their videos will become less and less popular and just have tens or hundreds of views at best. Edit. Found out the voice actor for AumSum retired in 2024. The company is wrong here because instead of at least finding a new voice actor, they just used AI. Still, a shame. As this user correctly notes, the first signs of trouble for AumSum started showing around 2022. Long-time viewers began noticing a shift in the channel's content. It was moving away from factual, educational videos to more fantastical what-if scenarios. At its peak, AumSum had struck the perfect balance, mixing exciting what-if videos with proper science content, like their most viewed video ever, From Caterpillar to Butterfly. You see that, kids? That's called learning. Unk that I am, I remember when you could actually learn something on YouTube. Oh, them's were the days. And does it not feel like 100 years ago? Sigh times 500. Yes, instead of continuing to explore real science topics, AumSum began posting increasingly whimsical hypotheticals, like, what if school disappeared, or what if we lived on the moon? These were fun at first, but as the ideas grew more extreme and detached from reality, fans started losing interest. One Reddit user summed it up. Went pretty hard when it was just true facts, now it's just hypotheticals. Another said, they turned from educational to what-if videos. Over time, even the nature of these what-if videos changed. Early on, they were at least imaginative and rooted in questions kids might actually ask. But gradually, the scenarios became sillier and less relatable. Around 2022, he started making nonsense videos like what if the Earth was made of pizza or some shit. He fell off badly. To be fair, I'd also fall off if the Earth were made of pizza. Gravity wouldn't stand a chance. Viewers started to feel the channel had run out of real ideas and was now just asking increasingly absurd questions. What if insert stupid thing disappeared became the new formula. Adding to the frustration, AumSum's original narrator, the familiar voice that defined the channel's personality, either changed or left during this period. This user says, AumSum was dead to me when the narrator left. The charm of the original voice and personality, that was a big part of AumSum's appeal. And when that changed, long-term AumSum viewers simply disconnected. Soon after, viewers began to suspect that AumSum was relying heavily on AI for production, and not in a good way. The channel started featuring bizarre AI-generated thumbnail images and possibly even AI-written scripts. One fan noticed, I always knew something was up when most of the animations they made were about AI. They are now animating with AI. The AI slop content farm is very, very real. Just look at the sister channel, AumSum Science. It's a never-ending AI netherworld. Video after video churned out with the same robotic precision. And take a look at one of their uploads. What if we could create an earthquake? The view count is surprisingly high, somehow, but the content itself is truly awful. The ground isn't the only thing shaking. My faith in humanity is too. This fan said, I like how with the thumbnails, the transition looked like a spreading infection. First it was normal vids, then everything was AI except AumSum, and then it went fully AI. Many fans who grew up with the channel AumSum are genuinely devastated as to what it's become. They learned from this channel. They freaking loved this channel. For some, it helped them through primary school. For others, even high school. And now, it's spitting in their faces with AI-poisoned spittle. This is a long story about AumSum. When I was a kid, I used to watch his videos all the time. Like, he was my childhood, bro. During the 2016 to 2021 era, I think he was making real educational videos. I always loved them, as it gave me some knowledge. But during the 2022 to 2024 era, he scrapped the educational content and made these what if videos. This is where I stopped watching him. Late 2024 to present time, okay, what the f***? They're making him an AI-generated slop now. They killed the OG AumSum and replaced him with AI SlopSum. RIP OG AumSum 2016 to 2024. RIP AumSum, we'll never forget you, bro. And AumSum, you can go self-delete already. Part 6. Where does AumSum go from here? The downfall of AumSum is a cautionary tale in the YouTube educational space. This was a channel that once held massive popularity and trust for its creative, informative content. But somewhere along the way, it lost its way. The arrival of shallow AI-generated videos and the abandonment of the channel's original spirit have left fans disappointed. Ultimately, AumSum's decline comes down to 3 things: drifting away from real learning, losing its human charm, and taking shortcuts for the algorithm. 3 choices that chipped away at what made it special. Or, to give another 3 reasons, AI, AI, and AI. It's the YouTube version of swapping your family recipe for a microwave meal, and then wondering why it doesn't taste the same. As this former fan said. TBH, I pretty much enjoyed AumSum when I was younger. As I got older, I was forgetting about it. Now I've been reminded of them. Ever since AI, brain rot, clickbaiting, like begging, and more came in, a lot of things have fallen from grace. And you, AumSum, are unfortunately in that group are now called fallen YouTubers. Once a glorious educator, AumSum is now an example of what not to do. Still, some fans are still holding out hope that the creator might notice the backlash and fix things. Hopefully there's a cure, one Redditor wrote wistfully. This fella was a small part of my childhood. AumSum, of course, would argue that there's nothing to fix. After all, millions still tune in. AI slop is popular and looks like it's here to stay. Maybe, and God, it's sad to admit this, but maybe AumSum is just ahead of the curve. Seriously though, when I see AumSum getting over 3 million views in 1 month for a video that is not only a stupid question, what if we could make bridges appear? Like, what does that even mean? But also clearly AI generated, it makes me feel kind of depressed. Back in What If AumSum Disappeared, the idea of AumSum vanishing was meant to be a joke. A silly what if that could never actually come true. But now, that video feels eerily prophetic. The channel hasn't disappeared. But by removing the warmth, the humour, and the heart that made the channel what it is, well, AumSum has disappeared in spirit. Gen Alpha's childhood just gone like that? Are we serious? All you needed to have to be a good edutainment channel was soul. The irony, it couldn't be clearer. The very future that AumSum joked about, it's come true. Fans are left hoping that the real AumSum, the one that taught, inspired, and made people laugh, might someday return. Until then, What If AumSum Disappeared stands as a bittersweet reminder of how quickly something loved can fade into an echo of its former self. AumSum always asked, what if? But no one was ready for the real question. What if AumSum stopped being good? I've been your host, Snipe Snap. He's been my little cat, Lucky. It's good to be with you, and we'll see you soon. Snipe, Snap, out.